Chairman. Mr. Secretary, on February 24th, you announced, I think there was a video of the cancellation of hundreds of contracts, 875 non-mission critical. They were you characterized them as, and then there was a lot of reaction to that. So in 24 hours, the department made an internal announcement that you were reconsidering that guidance and offered a pause on the cancellations. Then on March 3rd, another announcement, 585 contracts would be canceled. You said they were non-mission critical or duplicative. On March 6th, I wrote you a letter asking to have a list of those 585 contracts. You mentioned earlier today it's not weeks or months. Well, in my case, it was 2 months. I got a response on Friday that was a non-response. It didn't give me the list of the contracts. Why won't you tell us what those contracts are?
We will be, as those are finished, as you well know, and as I said earlier, to the contracts, and we're doing in negotiations. Part of those contracts may be rescoping of contracts. They're not completely taking out one contract.
I understand that, but just give us a list.
When we get to the final, we will be giving those to you.
Well, I don't understand why you can't give it to us now. I just want a list of the contracts. It's been 2 months, 585 contracts. I want to know what they are. I mean, I
understand, Senator.
I'm an optimistic kind of guy, and I'm not suspicious, but the fact that you won't tell us what the contracts are that are being renegotiated makes me wonder if there are things in those contracts that maybe you don't want us to know about.
Well, I will say that from my perspective, that is not it, and we'll work to get you the information you need.
When?
We're working through it now. We sent the last,
How about by next Friday?
I'll get with our folks and see what we can provide you at that time, and we'll see what we can get to you.
Well, that's really not a very satisfactory answer. It seems to me this couldn't be simpler, just a list of 585 contracts. Somebody has that list. I don't know why you can't supply it to this committee. When you were confirmed, Senator Blumenthal said, will you commit to respond promptly to any inquiry from members of this committee to request information and be fully transparent with this committee? You said, that is my intention. For this committee, I will make that you have every information that you need. Well, this is the antithesis of transparency. Again, this is just, I can't imagine anything more simple than to just give us somewhere there exists this list. Anyway, let me go on to another question. There's been a lot of discussion today about the firings, and you've talked about a goal. What bothers me is the goal. If you're talking about restructuring the VA, shouldn't you be talking about where you need restructuring and not start with an arbitrary number? How did you choose 2019 as the number, as the target for your staff size? What's magic about that year?
Well, I think that was where you go back to the actual executive order, which we're following to go through to downsizing our government, making it more efficient, and looking at it, and that was the determination from looking at a sort of a 15%. As we look at the targets.
But my problem with that is if you have an arbitrary number, whether it's 15% or 2019, that presupposes the result that there are that many unnecessary jobs. It seems to me you ought to do an analysis of where is the duplication. By the way, I'm not one that is advocating in any way, shape, or form that the VA was perfect on January 20th, 2025. I certainly agree that the staffing should be examined, the policies, particularly the red tape that Senator Tuberville was talking about. I think those are all very good things that should be examined, but it should be done in a thoughtful and transparent way. And I just don't understand why the magic. 2019, by the way, there have been 7 significant veterans-related bills passed since that year, including the PACT Act, one of the most significant expansions of VA benefits in recent American history, and yet the goal is going back to that particular year. The goal should be efficiency, not a quota.
Yeah, and that is what we're looking at, and that's what a goal is looking at it. But I also have to, one of the things, when you look at this, just last year, the previous administration, and through presentations that they made and others, actually advocated for a 28,000 person decrease in employees at the VA. So I mean, it's not a new thing to look at it. But we're doing. I want to agree with you here, Senator, that we are looking at this in a way that says what is the best part. One of the things also, there may be new applications, new legislations come forward, but there's also newer technologies, there's also newer ways and quicker ways that we can get stuff done. So that's the efficiency issue we're talking about.
Well, in the memo from your Chief of Staff on March 4th, it talks about this. It says There's an information gathering report due March 10th, another report due April 10th. Are those, and then there's a department-wide review will be completed by May 9th. That's 3 days from now. Will you share that data with this committee, whose responsibility is to oversee the implementation of the laws and regulations on behalf of veterans?
Yeah, those are being worked on right now and are in the pre-decisional format, so there's not something to share with you on those at this point, especially the one coming up. In fact, we've actually had to have an extension because our department is so large, so we're not making quick decisions. We're not making moving forward on that at this point.
Well, I'll go back to my question, and this, I'll end with this. The reaction to the contracts request, which seems to me is so straightforward, doesn't fill me with confidence that we're going to truly have a transparent relationship here. We're all on the same side. We want the whole goal of everybody stated here today is to protect our veterans and to be sure that they get the services they've earned and the benefits that they've earned. And so to the extent you can work with us and allow us to understand what you're doing, that would be helpful to develop a more collaborative relationship. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Senator.
Senator Bozeman.